And going to Davis again, underthrown, and this time it's picked off. A one-handed interception by Andrew Booth. Go Tigers.
What is up, everybody? My name's Jeffrey Gardner. Welcome back once again to another episode of Upset Alert. It is the ultimate college football podcast celebrating all 130 teams in the FBS. We are here coming at you one day later than normal on a Tuesday afternoon as I'm recording live here, streaming live on twitch.tv/robotbraineater on a Tuesday afternoon at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon here. So just thank you for however you're joining us, whether it is live here on Twitch, whether it is on podcast services later on YouTube later on, wherever it may be. I did just want to give a quick shout out to a few folks here on Twitch who have joined the party over the last week or so. So shouts out to Dion IRL, Napdad, Panda Plumes, and Sippy Show, our good buddy Sippy Show, who has been talking to us on Twitter quite a bit. Shouts to Sippy Show, shouts to Panda Plumes, Napdad, and Dion IRL for following on Twitch, joining the party over the last week or so here. I know it's been a little while since we've been on Twitch streaming the show. Just a little bit of a crazy schedule adjustment for me, as those of you who know me personally, not to get too far into my personal life on this show, but I did just recently come off of a very long furlough from my job, so did just go back to work for the first time in a while, and have been working very early in the mornings for the most part. So kind of a crazy schedule. I am not normally a morning person, as evidenced by the fact that I normally stream this podcast at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon or sometimes later. So just that schedule has been a little bit of an adjustment for me. So apologies for the kind of irregularities in terms of the posting times for the show, occasionally not doing the live stream, that kind of thing. I appreciate in advance your patience with me on that. But with all of that being said, we are, like I said, streaming live here on Twitch. So if you do want to be a part of the live stream, you can join our live stream and drop into the comments. I will gladly read your comments out live on the air at twitch.tv/robotbraineater. So you can follow us on there. You can also follow us on Twitter at UpsetAlertPod if you want to keep up with all the college football news of the world. And, of course, we post normally every Monday and Thursday. This week it'll be Tuesday and Thursday. 2 podcast services around the world, so Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Amazon, etc. Any podcast service really that's out there, we're available on there. So check us out on there. Make sure to follow, subscribe us, and leave us that 5-star review if you do get the time. So with all that being said, we're gonna go into our normal wrap up, our post weekend wrap up. This was week 10 in college football, if you can believe it already. Kind of crazy that in week 10 we're just getting, our first look at the Pac-12. Some still early looks at folks like the Big Ten, who have only played a couple of games. So really, we're getting into the meat of things right now. We're getting into serious conference championship discussions in most of the conferences. For those that have joined a little later, we're just getting kind of into the heart of the schedules, you would say. But really, even with those shorter schedules like the Big Ten and the Pac-12 are playing this year, there is just so little time that every game matters even more so than it does in a normal year. And in college football, as we all know, we all say every game matters anyway. So, yeah, we are very excited. Shout outs to Miguel in the chat. Welcome, Miguel, to the chat. Thanks for stopping in. We are taking a look here at the scores from this past weekend in college football, and we'll actually start with the week. I'm not sure if I got into these on Thursday's episode, so I'll just briefly recap here. Wednesday night, we had a few games. Kent State beat Eastern Michigan 27-23. Western Michigan won 58-13 over Akron. Buffalo won 49-30 over Northern Illinois. Central Michigan won 30-27 over Ohio. Miami, Ohio won 38-31 over Ball State. Toledo won 38-3 over Bowling Green. So a whole bunch of action on Wednesday night. Not a ton going on there, really, to be honest with you. The most exciting matchup of the week in the MAC was Ohio and Central Michigan, at least for me. I thought that was the best game. Ball State, Miami, Ohio, a decent matchup as well. I did not pick Central Michigan in that game. That was actually the only of those games that I picked wrong this week. So shouts to Central Michigan, Coach Jim McElwain, the infamous shark picture. Some of you that may be the only reason that you know him. But yeah, looking good, right? Central Michigan, the Chippewas, they are looking pretty good right now in the MAC as a serious contender. Buffalo, I think, looks like we expect them to. They are one of the teams to beat there as well, and so is Miami, Ohio. Really, those are probably going to be the main teams to watch out for. So they all win in their first game of the season. So a good start for those teams. Not so great for teams like Bowling Green getting blown out by Toledo. But we'll move on from there into Thursday. Just a couple of games from Thursday night. Nevada won 34-9 over Utah State. Not much to talk about there. Nevada has looked good to this point in the season. They were actually one of my biggest movers in our updated rankings for this week at Upset Alert Pod on Twitter. You can check out the full list of those rankings, all 127 teams that are playing college football this fall. But yeah, Nevada looks pretty good so far. Utah State, not so much. Utah State really hasn't looked very good at all, to be quite frank. Colorado State won 34-24 in what I thought was really a shocker over Wyoming. This is a pretty decent Wyoming team, a team that in our original preseason rankings was kind of hovering, I think, if I recall, in those 40s to 50s range. This is a pretty good team out of the Mountain West in Wyoming. Colorado State, however, really just surprised them in this football game. I don't think any of us really expected much out of Colorado State this year, but an exciting win, a 10-point win over the Wyoming Cowboys. You got to give your credit there, tip your cap to Colorado State for getting a good home win on Thursday night, rather. Friday night, we had a few games, and a couple of them actually pretty good ones in terms of the matchups. Really, all three, I guess you could say, were good teams involved in those games, at least. First and foremost, we had number 11 Miami on the road against NC State. Miami wins this one in a shootout, 44-41. De'Aaron King continues to play some good football. NC State is a good football team. They're legit. But Miami has been all season long a consistently great football team, a consistently top 15 type team. Really like this Miami team. They continue to hang around in that conversation for the ACC championship game. They will not go away easily. Notre Dame, of course, and Clemson are going to have something to say about that, but Miami looks really darn good. They look really good. De'Aaron King is a legitimate Heisman Trophy contender. I don't think he's going to win it, but he is a legitimate contender, top 5 or top 10 type contender for that trophy. So good on the Miami Hurricanes. They were tested in this one by a good NC State football team and managed to get out of there with the win. So good on the Hurricanes they survived the test. We had San Jose State at San Diego State. San Jose State has been impressive thus far this year. They win another one, this one 28-17, another game where I picked against San Jose State, and they win. I had this team way down there in, I believe, like the 90s or hundreds maybe in our original preseason rankings. They have certainly surpassed those expectations already. This team looks pretty good. We had a ranked matchup on a Friday night. Unusual thing to get there. Number 9 BYU was at number 21 Boise State, and BYU beat the brakes off of the Mountain West Conference favorites 51-17 in that one. How about Heisman Trophy contenders? Speaking of Heisman Trophy contenders, let's talk about Zach Wilson putting up some big numbers for BYU once again. Just running through his stat line here, 22 of 28, 360 passing yards, and 3 touchdowns with no interceptions. He ran for 8 yards and a touchdown as well. This guy is the real deal. Boise State, I think it's still early to tell, right? It's still really early to tell if Boise State is just not going to be as good as we might think they are, which is still a distinct possibility, but BYU putting the hurt on what we think should be a pretty good Boise State team and a Mountain West Conference championship contender is impressive. We've got BYU winning this one by a whole bunch, 51-17 again. That's an impressive win. That's the most impressive win of the season so far for BYU for me personally. I think that's a huge win to put on their resume when it comes time for bowl selection and all that good kind of stuff. Saturday, November the 7th. So this past Saturday, we have a full slate of games to get through, and there were a lot of good ones. I will just go ahead and get these first ones out of the way here, though. We had a whole host of games get postponed and or canceled this past weekend. So let's get into those here. Air Force at Army this past Saturday was postponed. Tulsa at Navy, same story. UTSA at Rice, Charlotte at Middle Tennessee, Arizona at Utah, Florida International at UTEP, Louisiana Tech at North Texas, Purdue at Wisconsin, Louisville at Virginia, and Washington at Cal, all canceled. So that is crazy. Just a weird week. We've had a couple of weeks in here throughout where we maybe get 1 or 2 cancellations. For the most part, I think most weeks you've seen a handful of games, maybe 3, 4, 5 games get canceled or postponed, maybe a little more than that, but this is a lot. There's a whole host of games on Saturday, so hopefully everybody is still taking all those protocols as seriously as they should be and as they were early on in the season. I have some questions for some of them about how they might be handling these protocols, but that's beside the point. So we'll get back into the games here, and we did kick things off with a ranked matchup early in the day. Number 23 Michigan up against number 13 Indiana. Michigan came into this game favored by about a field goal, despite their lower ranking. Michigan having lost to Michigan State the week prior. Indiana impresses once again. They win this one 38-21, and the Hoosiers are 3-0. Listen to this resume for Indiana. If you had told us in the preseason that they would do this, we would all think you're crazy. I think Indiana started the season, of course, with the overtime win, 36-35 over then 8th-ranked Penn State. They win 37-21 over a Rutgers team that has actually looked a little scrappy thus far this year. I think they look certainly better than I imagined them to be in the preseason. And then we have them beating number 23 Michigan by 17, a cool 17-point win over the Wolverines this past Saturday. Indiana looks good. Michigan, not so much. Remember, after week 1, people were ready to crown Michigan. Oh, Jim Harbaugh's taking them. They're going to play with Ohio State this year. They're going to compete. No, they're not. Let's stop kidding ourselves. We've seen who Michigan really is now. They're 1-2. They've lost to Michigan State and Indiana. This Indiana team looks good, but the Michigan State team is, it's a lot of up and down. I'm not sold on Michigan. I am sold on Indiana, though. This team looks really good. I think they're going to struggle against the elite team of the Big Ten. I guess you could say. I was going to say the elite teams, but I don't think there's maybe one, and that would be Ohio State. You can maybe throw Wisconsin into that category as well. But outside of that, who does Indiana have to worry about in the Big Ten other than a team like Wisconsin and a team like Ohio State? They've already beaten Michigan. They've already beaten Penn State. I don't think they have any issues going forward for the most part. We had number 18, SMU at Temple. SMU wins this one 47-23. Not much to say there. That's about what you expect. Not a really sexy win just in terms of the point margin there against a bad Temple team, but SMU got the job done. We had Arizona State at number 20, USC kicking off some Pac-12 action for us. The Trojans won a really close one here, just a 1-point game, 28-27 over Arizona State. This USC team is my pick in the Pac-12. I guess I'm going to stick with that going forward. We'll see how things go for USC, for Oregon up in the north. Those are probably the two favorites in the Pac-12 this year. It's going to be interesting on a shortened schedule to see how involved they really are if one of them, that is, does go undefeated, how involved they'll be in the college football playoff conversation. But a lot still to be determined in the Pac-12, so we'll hold off on getting too far ahead of ourselves. We had number 22, Texas, hosting West Virginia. Texas wins this one by a score of 17-13. The Longhorns with a good win here. West Virginia has proven to be a peskier team than I thought they would be. Texas didn't put up a million points like they like to do. Wasn't a particularly flashy or a sexy win, but the Longhorns win nonetheless. They continue to keep themselves in that Big 12 conversation right now. We had number 25, Liberty at Virginia Tech. Liberty was a 2-touchdown underdog in this game, despite being undefeated and the number 25 team in the country coming into the game. Virginia Tech played hard. I mean, this was not like a fluky game. Virginia Tech played hard in this game. Liberty was just the better team on Saturday. Liberty really just came into, I can't even think, Blacksburg. Excuse me for having my brain turning into oatmeal for a moment there. Liberty comes into Blacksburg, Virginia, and really just gets the job done. I mean, the offense is unreal at times for Liberty when they're really clicking. It is unreal. Malik Willis went 20 of 30 on Saturday for 217 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. He carried the ball 19 times for an additional 108 yards and another touchdown. That is just crazy. Just crazy talk right there. Shouts to Malik Willis for being incredible at football. Shouts to Hugh Freeze. You have got to give that man props. Personal demons aside, he is one heck of a football coach, and I think he's going to be getting some serious job offers in maybe not the SEC necessarily. It could be the SEC, but in the Power 5 for sure. He will be getting some job offers this offseason. We had South Florida at Memphis. This was a bit of an ugly game for Memphis. 34-33, they squeak out the win. The Tigers were playing in what is, in theory, maybe the worst team in the conference in South Florida based on the way they've played thus far this season. Memphis, one of the better teams in the conference, they should have been able to come into this one and just run away with it. They did not do that. Just a 1-point win over USF. But you have to like Memphis continuing to win, and they are right there still knocking on the door of a top 25 ranking, as they kind of have been for quite some time. So shouts to Memphis. If they keep winning, they will find themselves right back in those rankings. We had Tulane at East Carolina. This one, not too much to say on this one. 38-21. Tulane picks up the win. They move to 4-4. A tough schedule, I think, for the most part for Tulane this year in terms of they play most of the best group of 5 teams in football, I think, at least a lot of them. So you can't be too mad at Tulane for the 4-4 record. East Carolina, however, at 1-5, pretty awful. Let's just call it like it is. They've been pretty awful this season. We had North Carolina at Duke. North Carolina wins this one 56-24. North Carolina's offense continues to impress. Duke, not a great football team this year. We knew coming into the year they were probably one of the worst in the ACC. That is exactly what they have been. They're 2-6. North Carolina moves to 5-2. They will continue to push, much like we just said about Memphis. They will continue to push toward a top 25 ranking. They are right there knocking on the door, are the Tar Heels, led by Mac Brown. We had Louisiana Monroe, arguably the worst team in college football, up against Georgia State. UMass will have something to say about that conversation about worst team in football, perhaps. But Georgia State still gets the win, as you would expect them to, fairly comfortably. It was 52-34, and Georgia State is not great. So winning by 3 scores there is no small task, I would say, for a team that is as mediocre as Georgia State. That is a compliment to call them mediocre, probably. Louisiana Monroe, however, has been dreadfully bad this year. They move to 0-8 on the season. We had Nebraska at Northwestern in a little Big Ten action. How about Northwestern moving to 3-0? Nebraska now 0-2. They had one game get canceled that was scheduled with Wisconsin. Northwestern, though, has really impressed to the point that they made it into the polls this week for a top 25 ranking. They are ranked after just 3 weeks of play. I don't think very many people saw that one coming. We ranked them in our rankings as well. Again, you can see the full updated rankings that we put out every week on our Twitter account at Upset Alert Pod. All 127 teams on there in FBS we rank. Michigan State at Iowa. We had Iowa really just running away with this one. Michigan State, I don't know what happened. This is the team that beat Michigan last week, and then they come into this game this past Saturday and put up a whopping 7 points and allow 49 to an 0-2 Iowa team. Iowa moves to 1-2. This is the Iowa that maybe we thought we were going to see, and the Michigan State that maybe we thought we were going to see. A lot of up and down for these two teams early on. Hard to tell, even 3 weeks into the Big Ten schedules, how serious each team is, how much of a contender each team is going forward. So we're going to have to keep an eye on some of these teams that are up and down, like Michigan State and Iowa and Maryland, which we'll get to later. Penn State, of course, has looked awful, and we will get to their game in just a little bit here. We had Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns, hosting Arkansas State. This was one where I said, hey, if you're looking for some money this weekend, Arkansas State's about a 2-touchdown underdog to Louisiana. Louisiana has played a lot of close games. They've won a lot of games, but they have won a lot of them close this year. So if you want a little easy money, give your money to Vegas and tell them Arkansas State plus the points. That was a good bet, as it turned out. Louisiana wins it by just a touchdown, 27-20. This was a showdown of two of the better teams in the conference. Arkansas State really has not played like it to this point. This is a team that I picked to make the conference championship game, and they have now fallen to 3-5. So completely out of that discussion. Suffice it to say, Louisiana, however, is right in that conversation. They are ranked in our top 25. They are 6-1 on the year. And this is a team that really is a legitimate Sun Belt Conference Championship contender, right up there with App State, right up there with Coastal Carolina. And really, you can't count out at this point Georgia Southern either, who's having a pretty decent year. Georgia Southern, maybe not going to be a conference champion or anything like that, with 2 losses already on the record for them. But this is a pretty decent Georgia Southern football team, I think, at this point. So, you take a look at that and move on here. Speaking of Georgia Southern, they win 20-13 over Troy. This was a very minor upset, but an upset nonetheless. Troy was picked to win this game. A slight favorite in this one, Hail Southern. They get the win and move on to 5-2 on the season, so pretty good for the Eagles. We have Boston College, speaking of Eagles, at Syracuse, 16-13. This Boston College team has looked pretty good for the most part this year. They are 5-3 on the year. They played really tough against Clemson just a week ago. They get kind of an ugly win the following week here against I would say, below average Syracuse team is maybe the best way we can describe them. We had UMass, the other team, with Louisiana Monroe in that conversation for maybe the worst team in college football. They scored just 10 points, and number 16, Marshall, scored 51. Marshall has to be the favorite in Conference USA at this point. I was thinking in the preseason, I was leaning toward a UAB, then I was leaning a little bit towards Southern Miss as well. I thought those were probably the two teams that were going to compete for it. You could think about Western Kentucky. You could think about Florida Atlantic in that conversation as well. But I got to say, it's got to be Marshall at this point in the year. The Thundering Herd has really been unstoppable. They are 6-0 to this point in the season, and they continue to just blow people out for the most part. They're not even really having a ton of close games, so good on Marshall. They look very good. They look very good so far. Someone who has not looked very good for most of the season has been the Southern Miss Golden Eagles. Shout out to the Sippy Show, following us on Twitch and on Twitter. Southern Miss finally got another win under the belt. They moved to 2-5 with a win over North Alabama. It wasn't anything sexy, right? 24-13 was the final score. Just looking back on the year for Southern Miss, it has been one thing after another. They started the year off losing to South Alabama by 11 points, 32-21. That was certainly unexpected. They lost by a point in kind of a heartbreaker against Louisiana Tech. They got blown out by Tulane. They won against North Texas. Had a couple games back-to-back get postponed. They lose to Liberty. They lose to Rice by 24. That one's really ugly in there. And then they finally bounce back with their second win of the regular season this past Saturday against North Alabama. Southern Miss is on their third head coach of the season, but they are trucking along. I think this team, if they can find some continuity on the coaching staff, they can bounce back. They play a bad Western Kentucky team coming up this weekend. They've got UTSA on the schedule. They've got UTEP on the schedule. Those are possibly winnable games there, despite the way that they have played this season. So you can salvage something out of this season for your pride, I think, if you're Southern Miss still, especially given all the hardship of the head coaching changes being on your third coach of the year. That can't be easy. Just the lack of continuity there. We had App State on the road at Texas State. App State is working their way back into the top 25 conversation. Slowly but surely, they win this one 38-17. App State very quietly is 5-1. They, of course, had the loss a little early in the season for them this year. They had the loss just, I suppose it was, let's see, way back in September. Way back in late September, they lost to a very good Marshall team, 17-7. They had some less than sexy wins, we'll say, against Charlotte, against Campbell, and against Louisiana Monroe, and really this one against Texas State too. They've got a chance, I should say, to kind of flex their muscle against Georgia State a little bit in the coming week, and of course, when we get to the end of the season, they'll have a big game against Georgia Southern, their biggest rival. They've got number 15 Coastal Carolina on the schedule in a couple weeks as well, a chance to flex their muscle there if they can pull out a win against the undefeated Chants out of Coastal Carolina. App State is going to have a chance to prove themselves. They will have the opportunity. They still control their own destiny in the Sun Belt Conference Championship with that only loss coming out of conference. Then we had one of the biggest games of the week, one of the two top 10 matchups, number 8 Florida and number 5 Georgia. Neutral site action, as always, in Jacksonville, Florida. Let me pause for a moment and just say, as I have acknowledged many times on this show before, I attended the University of Georgia. I do not pretend to be anything other than a diehard Georgia Bulldog fan on this show. I try to check that a little bit when I am making my predictions. I went with a gut feeling on my predictions this past week, which was obviously not right. Let's start with the result and work our way back here. The Florida Gators won this one 44-28. What happened? What went wrong for the Georgia Bulldogs? Exactly what you think might have gone wrong if you were picking a Gators win in this game. The offense for Georgia was very vanilla. It was bad, quite frankly. It was ugly. Georgia's passing numbers were just atrocious in this game. I'd like to go through and give you the team passing stats because there were two different quarterbacks who played a significant amount for Georgia. Team passing stats for Florida will start 30 completions in 43 attempts, 474 passing yards, 1 interception thrown. That's Florida's numbers. Georgia, 9 for 29 passing. That's right, 9 for 29. 112 passing yards. That's 3.9 yards per attempt, by the way. 3 interceptions. Georgia outrushed Florida in the game 165-97. They lost the turnover battle, obviously, 3-1. They lost the possession battle by 15 minutes. Georgia held the ball on offense just over 22 minutes. Just 277 total yards, 2 of 13 on third down were the Dogs in this game. Florida, 7 of 16. By comparison, Kyle Trask was lights out in this game. Georgia's defense looked absolutely lost in the first half against Kyle Trask. This game, and I will give credit on this one, this was not my observation, but I think it was very poignant, very accurate I listen to a Georgia Bulldogs specific podcast called Dog Nation Daily with Brandon Adams is the guy that hosts it. And what he said in regards to this loss to Florida for the Georgia Bulldogs is he said, one thing I will not do is sit here and say, oh, this play could have gone this way, this play could have gone this way, and that would have changed the outcome. Obviously, Georgia left a lot of big plays out there on the field. There was a dropped interception that probably could have been a pick six. There were multiple wide open receivers that either had a drop pass or in most cases, the quarterback just missed the guy. That happened several times for Georgia in the game. Obviously, that happened. But on the other hand, think about it this way. This game was teetering on becoming a really ugly blowout. Florida scored 38 points in the first half on this Georgia defense that we've been praising as the best defense in the country, or one of them, at least. It's unfathomable, I will say. We knew there were injuries on the Georgia defense. We knew Georgia had injuries at receiver. But really, did we know that they were just going to look completely lost out there on defense? This did not look like the Georgia Bulldogs defense has looked in years. Not even Alabama really torched this defense the way that Florida did, to me, and that's just kind of the eyeball test. Not even Alabama exposed Georgia's quarterback situation as bad as Florida did on Saturday. And as a Georgia fan, you have to own that. Georgia is just not it right now at the quarterback position. Stetson Bennett is not the guy. Dwan Mathis, who came in when Stetson Bennett was struggling, is also not the guy. JT Daniels, we haven't seen play a single snap all season, so he's either hurt and Kirby Smart isn't letting it on, or he's really not the guy. If what they're seeing in practice is legitimately the comment that Kirby continues to give is, these are the guys that we feel give us the best chance to win. If you're saying JT Daniels is noticeably worse than those two that are ahead of him, Georgia's got a bad quarterback problem. It was a disaster on both sides of the ball for Georgia in this game. Florida outplayed them in every facet of the game. Quite frankly, it could have been 56-14. It really could have. Outside of one stray good offensive drive led by Dwan Mathis that got a late touchdown and a pick six, Georgia very well could have just had those first two touchdowns. By the way, we'll just give a quick shout out. There were a lot of injuries in this game. Kyle Pitts, the all-world tight end who is just unbelievably good, gets hurt in this game with what we could only assume is probably a concussion protocol after one of the hardest hits I've ever seen that was a blatant targeting. And Georgia loses a true freshman wide receiver who was tearing it up early in the game, by the way. Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint had an ugly leg injury that CBS for some reason decided to play about 10 times in a row. Prayers up for those guys and for everybody that got hurt in this game, because there were a lot of them. Georgia and Florida, anytime those two teams are getting together, it's always going to be a hard-hitting affair. It was particularly so this year. So hopefully a quick recovery for everybody. We've got a lot of games to fly through here, so let's do this. Houston at number 6, Cincinnati. Cincinnati wins 38-10. They continue to roll. Kansas at number 19, Oklahoma. Oklahoma wins 62-9. That's what we know. That's what we love about the Sooners. Boomer Sooner, baby. Put up a billion. Maryland at Penn State. Maryland wins 35-19. Maryland moves to 2-1. Penn State is 0-3. I have no comment. Penn State is a team that I thought was going to be a legitimate top 10 team. They're 0-3. I just don't know what to say to that. Maryland, who got absolutely smoked, boat raced by Northwestern in week 1, just beat Penn State. I have no words. Minnesota wins 41-14 over Illinois on the road. Minnesota, I guess, a little positive after a bad start to the year. They move in the right direction. Mississippi State and Vanderbilt, maybe the ugliest game of the ACC all year. Mississippi State wins it 24-17. That was another one I said, take the easy money. It was Vandy plus 19.5. I was surprised either team even scored 19. Texas Tech at TCU. TCU won 34-18. Good on the Horned Frogs. They haven't had a good record this year. They're better than their record indicates right now. Texas Tech is not particularly great, but good win for the Horned Frogs. Give credit there. Fresno State wins 40-27 over UNLV on the road. Number 14, Oklahoma State won a close one, 20-18 against a good Kansas State team on the road, a dangerous Kansas State team. OK State continues to keep themselves alive in the Big 12, of course, after the loss to Texas. Everybody's alive pretty much in the top half of the Big 12. It's going to be crazy down the stretch. We had Pitt win 41-17 on the road against Florida State. I thought Florida State had turned a corner with the win against North Carolina. I guess not. They are back to their struggling ways, losing by several scores to a, I guess, better than average Pitt team. We had Florida Atlantic and Western Kentucky in not quite a baseball score, but close to a baseball score. FAU wins 10-6 in this one over a bad Western Kentucky game. That's a bit of an ugly win. What's not an ugly win, maybe one of the sexiest wins of the week. Number 7, Texas A&M wins 48-3 over South Carolina on the road. Texas A&M is legit. I never thought I would be saying that, but Texas A&M is legit. This looks like the best team that Texas A&M has had since the Johnny Football glory days. It remains to be seen. They might surpass that threshold. Remember, even in Texas A&M's best year with Johnny Manziel, they didn't make it to an SEC championship or anything like that, or a New Year's Six Bowl. We'll see if A&M can get into one of those conversations this year. SEC championship doesn't seem likely with the loss to Alabama already. We have Baylor at number 17, Iowa State. Baylor loses another one. Iowa State wins 38-31. They continue to stay up in those rankings, moving into that top 15 territory now. Colorado beats UCLA. This was a crazy game where Colorado started out, scored a bunch of points. UCLA battled back to make it close, but still lost. Sorry to hear it from my friend Brian, if he's listening. UCLA football finally back. They are back to losing to teams they should not be losing to. This one 48-42 for the Buffs. And then we had another huge matchup here. Number 1, Clemson at number 4, Notre Dame. This one went to double overtime. Because of my crazy work schedule, I was in bed before the first half was over in this one. Unfortunately, did not get to see most of it. But Notre Dame wins 47-20 in double overtime. The Fighting Irish. I have to give you the quick I told you so. I did call this game. Notre Dame is legit also. They are a legitimate college football playoff contender, win or lose in the ACC football championship. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting down the stretch. Clemson has to win out. I mean that goes without saying, I guess, anyway. But Clemson could still make the conference champion, or excuse me, still make the playoff as a one-loss conference champion. They will not make it if they lose another game to the playoff. Notre Dame, however, they're Clemson-proof now. They can lose to Clemson in that conference championship game and still make it to the playoff, but they can't afford any other mistakes. They cannot slip up against someone else that they shouldn't along the way. Rutgers at number 3, Ohio State. Ohio State wins 49-27 over a pesky Rutgers team, is I think the way I will continue to describe them. Number 12, Oregon starts off with a win 35-14 over Stanford. Used to be the most important game in the Pac-12 every year. Not so much anymore, but Oregon's still going to be in college football playoff conversations until they aren't. We'll put it that way. Arkansas, the Hogs pulled one off to make my predictions look good once again. They won 24-13 over a struggling Tennessee Volunteer team. They're starting to call for Jeremy Pruitt's job again in Knoxville. Could be interesting if Tennessee continues to lose a bunch of games down the stretch. Maybe they're the ones that will call Hugh Freeze in the offseason. Number 15, Coastal Carolina wins 23-6 over South Alabama. The Chants stay undefeated. They now move to 7-0 and continue to be the favorites in the Sun Belt right now. Washington State wins 38-28 over Oregon State, and Hawaii wins 39-33 over New Mexico. That was the weekend in college football. We actually have, believe it or not, games as early as today, November the 10th, Tuesday night Maction. So I will go ahead and drop predictions for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday's games here so that we will not have to worry about those on Thursday's episode, no matter, because it may post close to the kickoff time for Thursday night's game. So just to get these out of the way real quick, Akron at Ohio. Ohio's a 27.5-point favorite, 7 p.m. CBS Sports Network tonight. I like Ohio, obviously, in that one. Kent State at Bowling Green, ESPN2, 7:30 tonight. I like Kent State. They're a 20.5-point favorite. Nothing exciting there. Miami, Ohio at Buffalo, though. That's a good game. 8 p.m. ESPN. Could be a little preview of the MAC championship game. I like Buffalo in this one. They're an 8-point favorite, which seems maybe a little high to me. I think these are both really good teams. I think the media might have actually picked Miami, Ohio to win the conference, but I like Buffalo to win the MAC. Tomorrow night, real quick, we'll run through these. Eastern Michigan at Ball State. I like Ball State. Toledo at Western Michigan. I like Toledo on the road. Central Michigan at Northern Illinois. I like Central Michigan. And Colorado State at Boise State Thursday night. I do like Boise State, despite Colorado State getting that upset win already once this year. That's going to wrap us up for episode number, what even is this, 86, I believe, of Upset Alert. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please do follow us on Twitter at Upset Alert Pod. Follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/robotbraineater to watch us live on video. If you find us on podcast services, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, Google, please do subscribe. Leave us that 5-star review if you have the time. Thank you again for listening. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And until Thursday, we will see you later for Upset Alert. It's all good, Baba Joey. Baba Joey hopped in right at the end there. We're done recording the audio. Done recording the audio version there, but I can hang out here on video for a couple of minutes. I know my streaming has been sporadic. I actually talked about that a little early in the episode, but glad to see you here. How have you been, Baba Joey? My day has been great. My schedule's been a little weird, which is why I haven't been streaming a ton lately. I have been, what am I trying to say here? I can't even think. I have been working. I was furloughed for a very long time. Just came back to work about a week ago, and I've been working every morning at about 5 o'clock in the morning. So it's been weird getting my body used to that schedule when normally I stay up super late at night. But today is a great day. I got my Xbox Series X. I posted a very brief, very shaky phone video on here earlier of me just going through. It's not really like an unboxing, but just showing it off a little bit. I'm going to have to figure out what the streaming setup on it is going to be like, but I will do that at some point. Pre-ordered it from Best Buy a while back and just picked it up today. I've got all my games installing right now, so I'll probably play a bunch in a bit. Nick Boyski. I saw you text me, but I didn't. Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks for dropping in, Nick. Yeah, you do have to come to the chat for me to talk to you. I'm going to ignore your text now that I see you in the chat. But, gotta come on your stream just to hear your voice. Nick, Thursday is my Friday this week. So Thursday night, I will probably get on Xbox. I might, either later today or tomorrow or Thursday. Yeah. One of those three, I'm probably going to take my Xbox One and my copy of Modern Warfare and trade them in. So if we're playing that, we got to do it soon because we got Black Ops Cold War coming out in 3 days. Yeah, it's Friday. Let's see. Baba Joey says, Friday I have a day off because I have no school. I'm so excited for Cold War. I'm going to get it when it first comes out. He says I'm literally open all 3 days. Yeah, dude, you should get Cold War, Nick. And Baba Joey, for that matter. But he says he's already getting it. Yeah, definitely, if you can, get it. Because I'm probably going to trade Modern Warfare toward that. I think they're giving about $20 or so. Plus they're doing like a trade-in bonus for Cold War, I think. Like 20% extra or something like that I just saw today. Does it have a Warzone thing? I don't know if it's going to be there at launch. Because I'm pretty sure, I don't remember, but I think Warzone launched after the game came out, like a month or two after. So I'd assume they're going to do the same thing. I don't think they've said explicitly what their Warzone equivalent is, but I'm pretty sure there is one. All I know is that they're integrating Cold War and Warzone December 1st, I think. Or December, I think. Also, I may be wrong on this. I probably am. But is Warzone like a standalone thing now? where you can play it for free. I may be wrong. Friday the 13th, they're shutting down servers, and you're getting rid of Modern Warfare. Yeah, I'm going back and forth on Modern Warfare. It's just, the main thing is, it's, what am I trying to say? The main thing is I don't want to put like 100 gig install onto my new Series X for, like, to play it barely ever. Because it's going to take up a lot of fucking space. And like I'm definitely getting Cold War. So I feel like it might be, a more efficient use of my space to just get Cold War and go into that full speed ahead. But yeah, I know that like I'm gonna play the story on it first, but I do want to see like what their Warzone equivalent looks like, because that's obviously what I'll play the most, I should say. If it's what I gotta do for us to stream, then I'll buy it. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it shouldn't be that bad if you like take like your copy, assuming you have a physical copy of Modern Warfare. If you do, I would probably trade that in at GameStop, because I just looked today and they're giving like $20 for Modern Warfare, and then there's a trade bonus if you trade toward Cold War. Let's see, Baba Joey, I'm going to get the PS5 like a few months after the release, because I don't see the rush of getting it when it first comes out. Yeah, my thing is, it's hard. It's so hard this time around to get an actual console. It's really crazy. Like, I know somebody, Nick, it's Taylor. Taylor is having a fucking hard time. He got an Xbox pre-order through Amazon, and they just emailed him like the last couple days saying that it will be here before December 31st. So he has no idea how late it's going to be. And when he bought it, obviously he thought it was going to be here today for launch. So that sucks. So yeah, I get wanting to wait a little bit. For me, like, the only PS5 launch game that I really want to play is Miles Morales, and that's on PS4. So I'm just going to play that on PS4. And what am I saying? Probably just get like a PS5 when God of War comes out or something like that. Also, yeah, they definitely won't take the digital download, obviously. But yeah, you should still get it. Let's see. Jeff Bezos is a swine. Yes, he is. RCXD cars in Warzone, that's pretty cool. I like the RCXD. There's not a lot that I would like take from a Black Ops multiplayer and put it into a Modern Warfare game, but the RCXD is really cool. I used to use it all the time. But yeah, I just feel like, for me, I wanted to get a next-gen console at launch, and I normally play more on Xbox, and most of my friends play more on Xbox, so that was my number one priority. If I could have gotten both, then I would have, but I don't know. I couldn't get a PS5. I tried, but once I got the Xbox, I didn't try as hard, I'll say, to get the PS5, because I was like, okay, I at least got one of them, because I've been playing like a launch Xbox One and launch PS4. Well, not launch PS4, but Like, I don't have a PS4 Pro or Xbox One X. So I wanted to get the next gen of console to take that jump up to play in 4K and all that good stuff. That's right. Over there somewhere. I doubt it's in the frame. But that is my Xbox Series X screen up. The glorious 4K menu. Since this is allegedly a football podcast, how about them dogs? Yeah, rest in pieces. Yeah, I came in right at the end of or what am I saying? I came in. Obviously, I was here the whole time. But yeah, Nick, you and Baba Joey both came in right at the end of the podcast. So I had just finished it up. Let's see. Baba Joey, hope when I get the PS5 it won't sound like an airplane engine. Yeah, me too. I have one of the Slims. I got it like maybe 2 years or so after it came out. So mine doesn't sound quite as loud as what I've heard other people talk about. But like definitely when I played Last of Us Part 2, it was pretty loud. Same for God of War. The Series X is like, I haven't actually played anything on it yet, but like I'm installing like 10 different games right now and it is literally silent. So that's nice. You think they're going to get top 10 still? Not right now. I'm pretty sure they dropped out of the top 10 for now. I have no idea where we're going to finish, honestly. There's not a lot of hard teams left on Georgia's schedule this year. So, I mean, we play Missouri, South Carolina, Vanderbilt. Not sure who I'm forgetting. But yeah, I don't see us losing very many games left on there. But if we play a tough bowl game, I don't trust this Georgia team to win a big game right now. We're struggling. We'll have to go eat some dinner. Thanks for stopping by, Baba Joey. I'm going to try, as I get more adjusted to my schedule, to stream a little more often. If nothing else, this week I'm off Friday and Saturday, so I will probably stream Thursday and or Friday night. And I don't know. Maybe me and Nick will play some Call of Duty. Maybe I'll play something single player on Series X that's like optimized to try to see how pretty it looks. But yeah, I'll definitely be streaming soon. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you, YouTube, Baba Joey. Nick's transitional years, brother. Yeah, it probably is. I did not think that was the case coming into this year, but it is looking like a transitional year. So kind of sucks. Quarterback situation is a hot mess. Defense was really bad against Florida. Only thing you're playing with is my heart with this new work schedule. Me too, dude. I hate it. The job itself is whatever. I have a job. Baba Joey, take care. Bye. See you later, Baba Joey. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you around. But yeah, this work schedule is messing with me. I have to wake up at 3:30 in the morning to get to work on time. Basically what I'm doing, it's called Heart of House. It's a merchandise position. So basically I am coming in like before like any of the like before the park opens or whatever, and just stocking all of the merchandise. So when like merchandise orders come in to the individual stores, we process those orders. So like when we come in, like today, everything's like out in front of the store on pallets. So we like bring the pallets into the store, open them up, open up all the boxes, put the merchandise on the walls if they need to go there. If not, we take them back to the stock room, that kind of thing. Basically make sure that the store is as stocked up as it possibly can be by the time it actually opens. It's kind of like the best way I can describe it is kind of like being a warehouse guy for like a store that would have a warehouse guy. Come in early, process shipments, stock the store, make it look pretty, all that good stuff. Yeah, it's all right. It's, I have a job. So I'm not complaining because I know a lot of people that got laid off, obviously. But I definitely get my exercise in. I will say that. I'm on my feet pretty much all day and like lifting things and walking everywhere. I'm at Animal Kingdom. And that position for Animal Kingdom is global. So I could be like in Pandora one day and in Dino Land the next day and in Africa the next day. So making up for those months of streaming only, for sure. I definitely like used to have days where my watch would tell me that I only took like 1,000 steps that day or whatever, because I literally only would get up to switch clothes over from the washer to the dryer or cook food or go to the bathroom. And now, like yesterday, maybe 2 days ago, I think it was 2 days ago, I hit my I broke my personal move record, which was a lot. Yeah, it was 2 days ago. And I stood for 19 hours out of 24. So it's trying to trying to get sleep, like decent sleep that kills me. Because if I wanted to actually get 8 hours, I would have to go to bed at like 7:30, which just isn't happening. I can like make myself sleep at like 9:30. But if I run on less than that, like if I stay up till 10 and I try to run on less than 6 hours every day, then by like day 4 or 5, I'm a zombie. Just because I normally sleep a lot. All right. It's early hour jobs are shite. I can't get to bed early ever for those hours. Yeah, it's really tough. That's the toughest part for me is the schedule. Being off that early is really nice, but it doesn't really feel like the thought is, oh, I'm off at 1:30 p.m. With an 8-hour shift. So now I have the whole day ahead of me. But like you really don't, because you go to bed like 7 hours after that or whatever, or 8 hours after that. So it's not really that much different than, what time you would get off at a regular like 9 to 5 job or whatever, because you stay up, if you stay up till like midnight or whatever. But it is what it is. It's just a temporary thing until my old position becomes available again. But, who knows how long that'll be. Shouts to COVID. Oh, here's a kitty. Oh. She's going to rub her mouth on the mic, which is causing that huge crackling. And now the mic's trying to fall. So I should probably close it out here. She literally just purred into the mic. I don't know if you heard that or not. Okay. It's gonna fall, but all right, dude. We'll stream sometime soon. Record those damn demos. I know. It's been so hard for me, like, this week, because since I came back to work, I've worked every day. So, I came back last Wednesday, and I'm not off until Friday. But yeah, once I, like, get settled in a little more to where I'm not exhausted every day, I'll try to get more back into doing demos and stuff like that. The thought of, like, playing guitar right now, exerting energy, just makes me want to die. On that note, I'm gonna finish it up here. Work does suck. But yeah, I got just a handful of games installed and many, many more installing right now. So I'm gonna play something. Deuces. Thanks for watching. Thanks to everybody else who popped in throughout. Thanks to Bob Joey for stopping by. Thanks to Miguel for stopping by. Thanks to all the people that followed in the last few days here. We'll see you. We'll see you another time.